to Heroes Forge, a Heroes of the Storm podcast.
Hello, fellow Forgers, and welcome to episode 9 of Heroes Forge, a community-driven podcast all about Heroes of the Storm. I'm your host, as always, Jeff Reynolds, and I am joined by the marvelous co-host of the show, Kristen Ashton. Hi, Kristen.
Hey, Jeff. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Stoked because of these NA regionals.
Oh, they're inspiring, aren't they?
So inspiring. I feel like after watching them, I could play that well.
I do too, and that's half the problem is I load up the game as soon as these are over, and I'm like, here we go. I'm going to solo tank as Leoric.
Spin to win as Sonya. Oh,
That's
dear.
Right. That's right, and it never turns out as well as it does for those teams like Tempo Storm and Cloud9, you know?
And what about Blaze and Cognitive? They have been doing great jobs against such juggernauts. I mean, they've been really putting in some great plays against some very well-known teams.
Honestly, though, that's almost more intriguing to me is to watch those teams come up out of nowhere. I mean, sometimes there's a couple teams that have some substitutes, people that couldn't make it, and they're playing on the team for the first time. Maybe they've practiced with them once or twice, and they're just killing it. And it's so cool to see these teams. I mean, Heroes of the Storm as an esport is very young still.
Yes.
And it's growing, and to see it grow with something like this, and the prize pool is massive.
Enormous, isn't it? 25,000?
Yeah, something crazy. Or there's the whole pool I think is over $100,000.
Oh, wow.
So I mean, just that money, and just to think about, you know, that money goes into a team like one of those teams like the Bob Ross fan club or somebody gets that money, and it just boosts their team up. They get sponsors. They start, you know, it's just growing so rapidly, and that's so cool to me.
And it's wonderful too. I really like these because we've seen some fresh faces as well. And with fresh faces, there come new and interesting plays. I know yesterday I had a great time watching the Pandas.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The Pandas were great yesterday. But yeah, man, all the teams are just doing great. So shout out to all those teams. You know, it is inspiring to say the least about for these people like me and Kristen that watch the games and then we play the game. You know, it makes me want to get in there and build a 5-man stack and try to run my own team and get into Team League. That's what Blizzard wants us to do, is they want us to play Team League. So
yeah,
I'm inspired by it. Do you have a favorite to win the whole thing? I know the finals are going on right now, so do you have a favorite to win?
My favorite is Cloud9. I'm a Cloud9 fangirl, but I'm hoping Cognitive takes the win from Navantech. I know they're on their final game right now, so I'm excited to see how that turns out, but I'm rooting for Cognitive in that game.
Yeah, Navantech is looking really strong.
They are.
Really strong.
With Fan and Zuna, I mean, as soon as Zuna has his Sonya and Fan is on his Li Ming, they're virtually unstoppable, it feels.
Right. They're great players. And my favorite would be Cloud9 as well. But I like to see those ex-Cloud9 players, you know, Fan and all that stuff trying to get in and win with a different team. Spreading the wealth to different teams will only make the tournaments more fun when they get to, you know, BlizzCon or whatever, when everybody is just killer. You know, the fact that yeah, I don't want to give any spoilers away. If you haven't seen it yet, you got to watch the VODs of these tournaments because they're so good. So we've given enough away already. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it. I know the VODs will be up on Blizzard's website and on the ESL site, I'm sure. All the brackets are there too, so you can check out who dominated who and what the picks were, because there were some off-band picks.
Certainly, Cho'Gall. Cho'Gall has been all over this tournament. Cho'Gall has been banned, for crying out loud. It's
banned
amazing.
A lot. Yeah, banned a lot, which was really surprising to me. I don't know if it's because listening to the casters, I mean, they're just a huge wealth of knowledge.
Yes.
And listening to them talking about why Cho'Gall would get banned, or, you know, I think part of it might be that some teams don't know how to counter it or play against it, so they ban it out because they know, you know, Team A is so good with Cho'Gall, we don't know how to play against it, so let's ban it, or we don't feel comfortable playing against it, so let's ban it. I mean, bans bring such a huge element to the game that we don't see in our everyday play.
Certainly, and I heard they're bringing that to Hero League, though, in the future.
Gosh, I hope so, because that would add a really cool. I mean, a lot of people in the community say that it doesn't feel like the game you watch on TV. For one of those pure reasons is that we don't have bans. When you play the game yourself, it doesn't feel as exciting as it does on TV because of that. And I hope that they introduce that. I mean, and even in every league, I think that will work, because in like my bronze league and stuff, you want to make sure that people aren't picking heroes that are super high skill cap that we're not gonna be able to counter this, or they're not going to be able to play this well, and I think bans will help kind of balance that out a little bit.
Exactly, and I think it will help breathe life into the various rankings metas, correct? Because if you're bronze, you're going to be worried about different heroes than people at plat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And it'll level it out a little bit. I would love an MMR reset. I would love that, just because I feel like not tooting my own horn here, but I feel like I've gotten way better, but I am stuck, I do feel, where I'm at in my MMR, only because it's such a team game. It's such a team game, and there's no carry, and if you're going to carry, it's going to take some serious time to put in to try to grind those levels out and get higher. So I think a reset, because the game hasn't had one, right, since we started, I don't believe.
Correct. I mean, aside from the Hero League ranking wipe, I don't think there ever has been. I think you're correct.
Yeah, so that would be beneficial to a lot of people, I think, to kind of just hit the reset and then see where you go and get with your best friend and play all your qualifying matches with your best friend. That way, when you queue up together for Hero League, you're queuing in the same sort of realm. Because right now, one of my best friends plays, and he's way up in the ranks, and so when we play together, it kind of throws the game off a little bit.
Oh yeah, you get that weird dichotomy in matches where there are 3 amazing players and 2 not so good players on the other team, and on your team, same deal.
Yeah.
And you better hope you're one of the better ones.
That's right.
Or else you're gonna die a lot.
Exactly, and I do die a lot. Speaking of dying a lot,
Oh!
what are you thinking of Zool this week, huh?
I am stoked for Zool. I cannot contain my excitement because I am a specialist at heart with my Murky and my Sylvanas. I love it. I love trying to control the battlefield.
And you're a diehard Diablo too. That's your number one, right?
Mm-hmm. Diablo is my number one. It's my bae.
Yeah, that. Yes, Diablo is great, and I love the flavor that Diablo adds to Heroes of the Storm, and Zool's going to add some serious cool flavor.
Oh my goodness, summoning the skeletons, and he's got a scythe?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
It's really cool. And when we had talked originally about the Dark Wanderer when we forged him, we thought the same sort of thing, where it had that necromancer feel.
Yeah.
And this goes to show that Blizzard is on point with their ideas, because I think that's a really well thought out idea about when you kill a minion, it spawns a skeleton. Kind of just bringing them back to life. Doesn't make it OP. Doesn't make it, as far as we know, he's not out yet. It might be OP. But it doesn't make it like you can summon like Asmodan.
Correct.
Or something like that. It's different, which is really cool, and it keeps the game fresh.
Correct. You have to earn your skeletons.
Right.
You have to kill things to get your skeletons.
Yeah, and it's another sort of Nazebo feel. I'm getting, like, we're gonna have, he's gonna be. I hope you like waiting in a 15-minute to 25-minute game queue to play him, because on Tuesday I'm sure he's gonna be popular
everywhere. Although it'll be interesting to see, because I feel Li Ming got more popularity than Zool.
Oh,
and I feel like she'll have more popularity than Zool.
Ooh.
I think Zool will fall off relatively quickly, much like all of the other heroes. Not all of the other heroes, but most of the heroes, you get the hype train, like Lunara, for instance. People were super excited. They got her. 2 days later, no one's talking about her anymore.
Right. And we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, Zool might be awesome. I know I was more hyped for Zool than Lunara.
Yeah.
Or not Lunara. Lunara too. Well, Li Ming too. At the beginning, just because of the flavor. I love the flavor of it. But I think that I think you're right. I think it's gotta it's got a different audience because of the Diablo 2 aspect of it.
Yeah, and
you know?
the look. I mean, it's a skinny dude in a vest with no shirt on. He summons dead things. He's balding, right? He's bald on top, but he's got really
Sort of,
long hair and a goatee.
Yeah.
The look alone, I think, turns some people off.
Yeah, I didn't
And I like
think
to
of that.
imagine the vest is leather, and he's got leather pants on with cowboy boots as well, but we'll see.
Right, because if you're going to go out fighting the demons of hell, what else would you wear other than a leather vest to protect
It
yourself?
certainly wouldn't be a Star Princess outfit.
No, it would not be a Star Princess outfit, and it would not be King Candy.
No.
Miriam. But that's part of the fun, and that's what we're all about here on Heroes Forge, is having fun. If this is your first time listening to the show, welcome. We're so happy you're here. What we do is we take a character from the Blizzard universe and we forge it for the Nexus, which means we basically build our kit for that hero and what we would like to see from them in the Nexus. This show is all about having fun, coming out with some great ideas. Some of them might be a little OP or silly, and some of them are gonna, make us think about how it would actually play out if it was a character in Heroes of the Storm. And so without further ado, let's forge.
Let's forge.
All right, Kristen, it's time to get serious on this.
All right.
I love it.
Serious
So, go
faces
ahead.
on.
Serious faces on, serious voices on as well.
Do we have a vocal changer for this one as well?
We don't, but I'll work on that for next time because that would be great, a vocal changer. Awesome. So, Kristen, why don't you tell us all who we are forging this week?
Today, we are forging a StarCraft favorite, Fenix.
Fenix, the fan favorite from the StarCraft universe. One of my favorite characters from the universe, and one that I can't believe has been overlooked, but we'll talk about it a little later about, I read some notes about why Blizzard might have had trouble forging Fenix for their own Nexus. But before we get to that, what we're going to do now is, Kristen, why don't you give us a little rundown on the lore of Fenix so that everyone can have an idea where he comes from?
Can do. There is no shame in defeat so long as the spirit is unconquered. Wise words from a Protoss that has battled even death itself. Raised from the rank of Praetor, revered as the steward of the Templar, and feared in battle, Fenix's first life was as a pinnacle of Protoss honor and courage. Even so, Thane could not stave off the end when his psionic blades betrayed him in the first of his last moments. But his story would not end there. The mangled remains of his body were found and placed within the confines of Protoss engineering. Now a dragoon, though he no longer possessed his original zealot-like agility, he retained his warrior spirit, happy to fight and die alongside his comrades, heroes that included the likes of Tassadar, Zeratul, and Raynor. But, friends or no friends, the end came a second time. But death for Fenix has never been permanent. His conscience copied into the body of a robot belonging to an ancient race created by the Protoss, known as the Purifiers. Fenix lives on, now going by the name of Talendar. 2 times death came for Fenix, and 2 times Fenix evaded its icy grasp. No matter the form he takes, however, Fenix has shown time and again that once a warrior, always a warrior.
Awesome. And that is exactly what I was thinking about when I was building Fenix, just that feel. And that would be, exactly how I picture him in the game. It takes it a step, for me at least, above Artanis in the mind. I know Artanis is the leader of all and everything, but I feel like Fenix, you really hit the nail on the head when you said the crowd favorite, really.
Yeah.
He's out there and he's what everybody is inspired by.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you played Fenix, when was your first time with Fenix? The original StarCraft or StarCraft 2?
The first I can remember is StarCraft 2, but I did play through StarCraft, the original, and through Brood War. And I remember him being there, and I don't remember him being a huge sticking point in my brain through all of that, because I didn't really play Protoss a whole lot. I played Terran a whole lot.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, I do remember him, and in StarCraft 2 as well. What about you?
StarCraft 2, because StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void was the very first StarCraft I ever played. So that's the Fenix in my mind, is the Talendar. However, I did read up and watch some old videos.
Right, and some of those old animations are old.
It's dated,
videos.
yeah.
Yeah, it's dated, but still really cool. And you can't beat that lore. I mean, everything you just said, it is, like we always say, it's super thick with everything that, Blizzard requires to create a really good character. And Fenix is one of those characters.
Yes.
So, this is a great pick. Kristen, this was your pick this week, and I totally dug building Fenix.
Awesome.
So let's get into it. Let's go ahead and start. So the first thing we start talking about, as always, is the role classification, using the current role classifications in Heroes of the Storm. What was your idea for Fenix and his role classification?
My idea was that he would be a ranged assassin, because I wanted him in his dragoon form.
Oh, neat. Cool. I love it when this happens, because I thought he would be a warrior, like Artanis.
Yeah.
So I went before, like, his actual humanoid form, I guess you would say, his Protoss form. Well, I guess the dragoon would be a Protoss too, but you know what I mean. Like, he's in his pre-dragoon form in my build, my warrior build.
Nice.
So again, we're gonna have two completely opposite builds, which is so neat to just hash out ideas between them. So the next thing we talk about is their trait. And so I'll go ahead and start. So the trait that I chose for my build of Fenix is called Braveheart. And Fenix is one of the most decorated and bravest of all Protoss warriors. Even during battles that were completely turned against him, he has the ability to summon the strength needed to pull through and claim victory. Fenix's trait allows him to do just this. He gains a health buff and damage increase based on the amount of friendly heroes that are dead, currently on death timers. This trait gives him an unbelievable survivability and the ability to continue battling foes. So I wanted to go off of something that was just different here. So I'm thinking there are stories about Fenix where he, it's 30-1,
Yes.
30 Zerg versus one, or for every 30 Zerg, there's only one Protoss in some of these battles. And they bottleneck them down like Thermopylae, and they just Braveheart it out. And that's exactly what I was thinking, is as people are falling around him, it inspires him to just be stronger and to do more damage and, gain a little bit of a health buff.
I love that image. Now, would he give out a battle cry each time he gets a buff?
Oh, for sure.
Oh.
That's great.
Yes.
Yeah, because some of those battle cries, the Protoss battle cries, they give me chills.
Yeah,
Like,
thinking about it. He's not even real in Heroes. I'm already getting chills thinking about it.
yeah, just screaming, and it would obviously have some sort of animation that goes with it, right? So somebody drops in a team fight, and like this swirling blue comes up from Fenix and just kind of like surrounds him as he screams, and the enemy team knows, oh crap, we just wiped somebody out, so he got a little bit stronger. And it will just go like that. And I also imagined it to be global. So if you're down in the bottom lane and, he's kind of connected to the whole team. So some, Brightwing's up top and she gets ganked by Zeratul or someone and she goes down. That also buffs Fenix for a short amount of time down in the bottom lane.
Nice.
Yeah, and I was thinking, because Artanis has that sort of feel where the more he auto attacks, he gains health from that, right? Or something to the ability of that, where he gains a shield.
The lower his health gets, the bigger his shield grows.
Yeah, same sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that has like a little bit of a Protoss flavor to me. But what were you thinking for his trait?
I was thinking with the Dragoon, it's called The Path is Clear. And in his suit, Fenix is free to crawl over things that would otherwise block a hero's path, including walls and decorative shrubbery.
Oh, that's great.
Yep. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that has a definite dragoon feel to it, because you see these, they're like walkers, right? With 4 legs, and they kind of move like mechanically towards the enemy wherever you aim them in the game.
Yes.
So I think, because that would do that. It would have like a... So you're thinking it's got like a Sergeant Hammer kind of thing to it, where it's you're playing a siege weapon?
Sort of, except faster.
Okay.
A bit more agile, because I want to pay tribute to the fact that he was a zealot, so he could move.
Right.
And I know dragoons kind of limit your movement, but I still would like that to kind of be there, especially as an assassin. So kind of a finicky spider.
Love it. That is so cool. And what do spiders do? Climb over whatever
Exactly.
they need to.
Could
to
you
get to the
imagine
next thing.
Tassadar laying down his wall and being able to just climb over it?
Oh, yeah. Because there's no counter to that.
No.
I mean, and yeah. And I'm trying to think of like Zool's going to lay down his wall of, mages or whatever it is that start attacking people. What if you could just crawl over, and dodge the bullets or something, or not the bullets, but the magic missiles that they're firing. I mean, something like that would be really cool. And I love it when they start building these counters, because they're going to have to start doing that more and more and more, so that when we get into the competitive scene or even Hero League in the game, you're going to see, oh, they're picking a Tassadar. I should pick Fenix because I can just jump right over that wall. It'll be a counter to that, and then I can start sieging with, Nazebo on the other side or whatever. It can go anywhere. I think that's so cool.
Definitely.
Very neat. So his mounting, I'm thinking that, just like Artanis, he would ride a normal mount. But if he, in my build, if he had a specialty mount, that like came in the bundle when you're buying it, it would be a Protoss transport with an open cockpit.
Ooh.
So like a transport ship that kind of drops in. So when you're summoning it, it would drop in kind of like a medevac. Just that cool animation. It would be an epic purchase, or legendary, whatever they call it. And it would drop in, and Fenix would jump in, and you could see him in it.
Nice.
Yeah, what about you? What were you thinking for his mount?
Well, the mount I was thinking, his legs would fold up, and he would have little jets installed on his dragoon body, and so he'd jet away. And he wouldn't be able to go over difficult terrain in this mode, and it would be regular speed of a mount. However, I thought it would be hilarious if there was also one called Dance of Death. Now, with this one, when you're mounted up, you're still in dragoon form on your 4 little legs. You move twice as fast as a normal mounted hero. However, the pathing is the same as the pathing from the original StarCraft. So you really don't know where the dragoon's going to go when you tell it to move. It's going to go where it wants.
That is flavor. That is game flavor. I love that. That's so cool. Drawing a connection to past StarCraft. That's great.
Clearly it was something that everybody loved. I mean, the pathing of dragoons.
That's right.
Videos of how much everyone loved it.
Loved. Just giant hearts and sunshine all around. I like both of those ideas. I think it would be like the animations are something Blizzard I feel it wouldn't be easy, and I can't draw or do any of that, and I'm not saying it would be, but it would be so cool if they started playing with that a little more. So, when Sergeant Hammer is mounted, the flames are shooting out of the sides, and she's moving real quick.
Yeah.
So why couldn't they, in your Dragoon implementation, make it so it just took off instead of, summoning as you're like, ooh, instead of just same amount of time it takes it to take off is the same amount of time that it takes you to summon it, and then you can just move forward. That's something they should definitely play with.
Yeah, and now when Mecha Tassadar, when he transforms into his mount, that's a transformation, correct? He doesn't summon it, right? Okay, so they're doing it a little bit. Yeah,
they are doing it a little bit, and it's cool. And I think it's so cool, like when some of the ultimates do some of those things, like Gosh, I can't think of it right now, but I have seen it in the game where things have, dropped out of the sky, or when
Oh yeah,
when
well, Leoric's in Tomb.
right.
He lifts his fist and then
Yeah.
walls shoot up out of the ground.
And how cool is that? I mean, stuff like that is so cool, and I hope they keep doing that because it's sweet. Okay, cool. So for the Dragoon build over on your side, what were you thinking for Phoenix's Q ability?
Going with the classic phase disruptor with a little twist. So
Okay.
a series of antimatter bolts sheathed in a field of energy are shot out in a straight line, dealing damage to any enemy hit. If the enemy has a shield, the bolts ignore this shield, hitting the health directly.
Nice. That is so cool and useful and helpful. I mean, especially if you're fighting Artanis, like we just talked
Yeah,
about.
or could you imagine against Chen?
Chen.
Chen.
Oh, we've seen a couple Chens in the spring qualifiers too. I saw a
Yes.
couple Chens, which is great. There are two kinds of Chen players: the players that play him very well, and the kinds that don't.
Amen to that.
Yeah,
I'm one
there's
of
no-
the don'ts.
I'm one of the don'ts too, and there is. I am one of the don'ts, and it is clear when they play Chen well, they play Chen well.
Yes. Oh,
there-
1v5 raid boss.
Right. And there are no middle grounds, I don't think I've found with Chen. Like,
Yeah.
oh, they were pretty good. It's either that Chen was bad or that Chen was really good. So, cool. Sweet. So, on my side, on the Phoenix Warrior build, my Q was called Impalement. Now, I want to put a little spoiler alert because I'm going to talk about some Star Wars here. So if you haven't seen Star Wars The Force Awakens, pause this for probably about 2 minutes because I want to talk about that. And I think it's a little past that time.
Yeah,
but
I think 4 weeks is generally what the rule is. You have 4 weeks without the with the spoiler warning, and then you can talk about it.
Just want to make sure because it is so good. And if you haven't seen it, go see it. But it's called Impalement. So Phoenix has always been known as a true warrior of the Protoss race. When Q is activated, he uses his Psyblade, which is his weapon of pride and destruction, to impale and stun an enemy hero in place next to him. Because of the amount of energy that this requires for his blades, it takes time to allow him to use his auto attacks again. And that plays off of the flavor of how he died the first time in StarCraft.
Yes.
How his Psyblades, they just stopped working. I believe they ran out of power or something.
Yeah.
So in Star Wars, that moment where Kylo Ren that's exactly what I'm picturing, right? Where you're up close. I mean, R.I.P. Han. R.I.P. But that moment where you're up close and he just takes that Psyblade and just goes whoosh. But it takes that second like it does in Star Wars where everybody's just standing there like, whoa, that just happened. And you can just see Phoenix holding that, that Jaina just right there. And she's just stuck on that Psyblade and she can't move off of it.
Yeah.
And then he just pulls it out. And then he loses the power because it's a powerful attack. And I'm
Yes.
thinking that it would be 3 auto attacks worth of time.
Oh, wow. Now,
To
would
be
his
able to use it
psionic
again.
blade extend?
Yeah, so you would know when it was back up. So you'd be doing your basic attacks, and in my idea of the hero build, it would be melee attacks like, all of the other Protoss in the game,
Yeah.
where they're coming in and they're hitting with the Psyblades, and then all of a sudden you just do this big wind up like Tiger Woods fist pump, and it just impales them with this longer Psyblade and holds them there for a second right next to him, is what I'm thinking, which is a little different. It disables them right next to him, and then when he pulls it out, he's got to wait for it to recharge, so it takes a couple auto attacks, and that'll combo into a couple of my other abilities.
Yeah. Okay, so for the animation, too, could you imagine if they got picked up onto his
yeah.
fist so they were curled over on top
Oh,
of his
yeah.
fist? And,
It'd be real neat, and you could see it come out of the other side, and he would say something awesome, like, I don't know.
Eat
I'm
this.
ready. Yeah, eat this, or like, I'm ready for battle. Are you? Or something like that, like as like holding him up or something crazy. So that was my idea for Q. What about you on the Dragoon build?
with the Q?
Yeah.
Oh, we just did the Q, phase disruptor.
Oh, that's right. We did the phase disruptor. Okay, so how about your W?
W Plasma Shield, going again for another classic. For a second period of time, a short period of time, Fenix can throw up a timed shield that soaks damage as it decays over time. So it wouldn't be long. It wouldn't be turning him into a warrior because the shield really wouldn't last that long, but it would last long enough to soak damage that could save his life.
Right. Like an escape, kind of.
Correct.
Great. That has some great flavor too, StarCraft flavor. Another fan favorite. Not as much as the movement ability, I don't think, with the with your second. That was the #1 fan favorite. Sarcasm just spewing through the microphone.
I can feel it.
Cool. Neat. So what does it look like in your mind in the game? Is it like a void prism kind of thing, or what does it look like?
I would imagine his entire dragoon gets that cool Tassadar shield around it.
Right.
Except it's shaped to the dragoon. It's not just a circle.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Like, yeah, it's like crawling on his skin or something. Like you can see the yeah. Oh, that's cool. I love the way that would look too. In case you haven't noticed, we're really into the way that things look in the game, even though they're not in the game yet.
Well, it's imagination land, right? You
Yeah.
gotta visually see it.
It's all about imagination on HeroesForge. My W is called Steward of the Templar, which is what Fenix was known for, or called by Artanis at one point. And Fenix is known to be honored by all friendly heroes as a true warrior, and they would gladly take a bullet for him.
Oh.
When this ability is activated, he can select a friendly hero to borrow health from. It'll take a percentage of their health and apply it to Fenix's health pool. So, I was thinking, this is the opposite of harming someone, right? So
Yes.
You're standing there, you've just used impalement, you've just impaled someone, and they're starting to wail on you. You can be like, oh, hey, Li Ming, or whoever's in the back line that's not in danger, give me part of your health, and it'll charge up Fenix, and then he can go back into the battle. You have to be really careful with that, obviously, because you wouldn't want to nerf one of your own people in the middle of a battle, and it wouldn't be useful all the time, but it was just something different that I had thought of.
That sounds incredible, too. And how much health are you thinking? I'm thinking a percentage.
Yeah, not a whole ton. I mean, I'm sure you could talent into it to make it more, or even pay health back to the character you take it from, but I'm thinking maybe 15%, just something that, takes a health that allows him to have a little bit more sustainability in comparison to, Leoric's Drain Hope.
Yeah.
Where, that's the opposite of it, where you're not taking it from the enemy team, you're taking it from your own team. So if you had a double tank combo here, where Fenix would be more of a bruiser in my mind, you could steal from your Diablo that's right next to you and be like, yo, give me some of that health so I can keep battling too. And then if you had a medic, that'd be even better because you could heal up that Diablo and just keep going into a vicious circle.
Oh, you're right. That would be disgusting. Disgustingly amazing.
Disgustingly amazing.
Right here.
Cool. So that goes directly into my E ability, which is called Respect Your Foes. Throughout all of the battles that have taken place on Ire, Fenix has always had a great respect for the foes of the Protoss. If anyone in the StarCraft universe shows true chivalry, it's Fenix. When E is activated, Fenix takes a knee on the battlefield and shows his respect for the play of enemy heroes. During this time, the enemy hero that is closest to Fenix also takes a knee for a short time and is unable to attack. Only ranged attackers from a separate hero or other heroes will be able to hit him.
Ouch.
Silence.
I can only imagine. It would be amazing, but silences are never bad. I think silences are probably the greatest form of respect the show has proven, because when it goes silent, that means we're all just imagining
the wheels are
fight.
turning.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, you got to combo wombo that. You got to impalement and then respect your foes. So you've got time before you can start auto attacking again. So you just impale them with your side blade. They come down, you take a knee, they take a knee at the same time, and then you can stand up and then just
Punch
or
him
you
in
could
the
use
face.
that. Yeah, you could use that time to Steward of the Templar and grab some health from an ally.
Oh,
Just trying to think of combos here. I
beautiful.
love that. Those Kerrigan combos are super well thought out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of combos in the game, so I went for that here. How about you?
Oh, this one, Battle Hungry, and it's a passive like Raynor. I think they
love
need
it.
another hero that has a third thing that's a passive. The longer Fenix stays in a fight and does damage, the more excited he gets, resulting in stacks of energy. As soon as these stacks reach maximum, they explode outward, dealing area damage and stunning all enemies for a brief period of time.
That's exactly on the same path that I was thinking. I think that's a great idea. And that's along the lines of Artanis too, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because you're building those stacks. Artanis is building up that shield as he's battling through, and that's the flavor of the Protoss.
Exactly. And then it would add a really nice strategy to the character too, because since you can't activate it, you have to kind of be on top of how many stacks you have and how soon it's going to go off and where you're going to position yourself once it's gone off. And the fact that you need to keep attacking to get these stacks building, which I think would be a great tutorial for newer players in assassin roles.
Right. Yeah, and I'm thinking now of, what do you think some talents would be that you could talent into that ability? Because I'm thinking maybe based on the, also your stacks of regen globes that you've gathered. Maybe the more regen globes you've gathered throughout the game, it reduces the amount of stacks you need to fire this.
That would be pretty good. Maybe too, the number of stacks grows. So if you need longer time periods between explosions, you would have that option.
Right.
Maybe to decrease the number of stacks needed.
Yeah, because, man, you got to really watch those stacks and make sure that you're going into a team fight where you're stacked up and ready to go.
Exactly. Kind of like Thrall's healing.
Yeah.
Before you go into a fight, you want to make sure you're ready to go. So your first ability heals you because you're going to be taking damage.
Right, and I saw some crazy Thrall play in the Spring Championships too, where stuff like that actually happens. I mean, they take the time to wait on their next attack until they go into the battle, because then they know this thing's going to fire off as soon as I get in.
And I mean, how many times were heroes stuck in maws? And as soon as the maws opened up, of course, the team would try to land their wombo combos, but the people that were caught in the maw immediately ran to the other direction, so they were able to avoid a lot of that combo damage. Right.
That is skill. That's Heroes Pro skill right there. It's great. I love that stacks idea. So good. Oh, but now is the best time that we get to talk about. As always, let's go ahead and talk about the heroics.
Heroic!
This is where we get to have a little bit of fun and come up with some really cool ideas for heroics. I have a couple ideas, but Kristen, I want to hear the Dragoon heroic ability #1 for Fenix.
The #1, we're doing ultimate upgrade, and it would be another passive.
Ooh, multiple passives?
Yeah.
I like.
I got a kick. I felt like he needed, because he had robotics, I felt like you could have things that just, worked in the background. You didn't have to actively be on top of it.
Right.
All right, so ultimate upgrade. Upon choosing this heroic, Fenix is now permanently upgraded to be proficient in either attack range, attack speed, or attack power. Level 20 allows him to add on a second.
That's great. That's practical in my mind. And it has such great flavor for StarCraft. That feels like StarCraft to me. Just the, you're choosing to upgrade your unit. Yeah, well done.
Yeah,
That's
and
great.
visually too, could you imagine the cool stuff you get on your Dragoon?
Oh,
the
yeah.
extra armor or the extra bit of coloring?
Yeah, the coloring, or you said attack speed is one of them?
Yeah.
So, like, maybe additional weaponry shows up on your Dragoon. Yeah. And so at level 20, are you able to take a upgraded augmentation of the one you've already chosen? So like to double up on one, or are you thinking you gotta pick two?
I like the idea of having to pick two, so you get either range and speed, range and power.
Right, not range and range, and then you can just attack from your own core.
Exactly. Yeah, directly from the core.
Just sit over there and poke the core from your core.
Phoenix OP.
The enemy two's like, your core is under attack. Where? What is going on? Why? How?
Phoenix is just laughing from the base. Oh, well played.
Cackling. just spamming GG in the chat. GG, 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 GG. I take. Cool. My first heroic ability was called My Life for Ire. And if Phoenix dies on the battlefield, his body does not leave. This gives a friendly hero a chance to activate Phoenix's body to call in a dragoon to take his place and continue fighting. The dragoon has the ability to auto-attack heroes near and tank damage. It doesn't have any sort of special abilities. It picks up Phoenix's body and kind of cradles it into itself as it comes down from the sky, and then it works kind of just like as a tank and an auto attacker, and it's on a timer.
Okay.
And when the timer goes off, then he does go into his full death timer. So I'm thinking of it as like a reverse diva or something like that from Overwatch, where she's in the tank to start, and when she dies, then when the tank dies, she pops out and then she's weaker. Well, this would be the opposite, where he's not in a tank or in the dragoon yet until he dies. Then someone has to come up and activate it, like stand over him and click his body. Then it's going to drop out of the sky and scoop him up, and he can just do basic attacks and like a body block.
That sounds incredible.
It's going off the same dragoon idea that you had, because that is what I was talking about at the beginning of the show, that Blizzard had said before Artanis came out that they were trying to develop Phoenix because it is a fan favorite for Heroes of the Storm, but they were having trouble playing off the dragoon feel because that's such a huge part of his lore in StarCraft.
Certainly.
So I think you've done it, Kristen, where you're talking about it because there aren't other heroes that are like that other than Sergeant Hammer, and you've made it different enough to where it would be worth doing.
Certainly, and your ult, though, would be great because that really plays into the lore of it all, right? Especially the fact that it has to be activated by a team member. Because Phoenix himself didn't crawl into a dragoon.
Right, he was dead.
Yeah. They found his body, hooked him up, and there he was.
Yeah, exactly, which is so cool. That piece of lore is awesome. So how about you, Kristen? What is your next heroic ability?
It's going to sound familiar. I have jaw drop that we think on such a similar wavelength. R2, he's more machine now. Phoenix can now summon and send out a drone to construct a pylon on the map. Should he take enough damage that would kill him, instead of dying, he is warped back and placed in a new dragoon suit. So he keeps coming back. Each subsequent suit comes with an upgrade, up to 3 upgrades total, more if talented into. If there is no pylon, Phoenix dies, and any upgrades that had occurred on the suit are lost.
Oh, that's cool. That's different than what I was thinking, because I was curious when you first started how you were going to play it off to make it even better, when he came back, and those stacks would be so cool. So you're saying that the enemy team can destroy the pylon?
Correct.
Like Murky Egg?
Exactly, just like Murky Egg.
Yeah, that's so neat. Oh, and I could just see like an actual, and when you take it out, obviously the game would say you must construct more pylons.
Exactly. It's all set. The work is done.
And that goes into the lore that you were talking about at the beginning with the fact that they just can't kill him off, and the fact that the Protoss can't give up on him because he's such a huge part of the race, just the existence of the race, right?
Exactly. I mean, they brought him back in StarCraft too. Sure, he's got a new name.
Right.
But it's Phoenix.
Yeah,
Still loves battle.
Yeah, and everybody still respects him, right?
Yes.
I mean, as far as I can remember, it's all And I mean, even Kerrigan says at some points, from what I was reading when I was doing research, that she respects the way that he fights and all of that. So,
yeah,
I mean, coming from her, that's pretty
it's
big
something.
news. Yeah.
Especially since she herself doesn't really fight with honor.
That's right. Yes, no honor. Cool. So my second heroic ability was called, this is going to sound familiar, Pylon. Fenix constructs a Protoss power pylon.
Here we go!
It is a little different. A Protoss power pylon that generates energy that has a slow gravitational pull on the enemy team.
Ooh.
While in range, the enemy team is slowly being pulled unwillingly towards the pylon. So if they're not moving, they'll be pulled. If they're moving away from the pylon, it will reduce their movement speed by half.
Ouch.
So it is pulling them in towards slowly.
Ever so slowly. They can't
Ever so
escape.
slowly. And that goes off of, like, I was thinking of all the other traits, or all the other abilities that I was thinking, just to wombo combo that pylon. You throw it down in a team fight, everyone's trying to get away. They get pulled in, you impale them. I mean, just everything that I was talking about, trying to kind of link it all together.
Yeah, one on top of the other. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. That'd be so frustrating too. You're being pulled in and you're pulled in right into the impale, and then suddenly
Yeah.
it just
Yeah. So that's what we always go for here on Heroes Forge, is frustrating characters to
Yep.
play against.
Above all, frustration.
Above all, frustration. Because I do get frustrated when I'm playing with, who is it, Rhaegar, that drops the slowing totem.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. Because CC is so relevant in the game, and that CC just murders me sometimes. And it's just a frustrating moment because there's not a lot you can do.
Yeah. And of course, it's really frustrating too if you're not anywhere near the totem. Because if you're near the totem, at least you can attack it and get it down in, 3 hits or so. But
Right.
if you're midway between the exit of the area effect and the totem itself, what are you going to do? Run in and hit the totem, or try and get the heck out?
Yeah, it's tough sometimes. You have to make that choice, and that's why those good teams that are in the spring qualifiers know exactly what to do
Oh, yeah.
and exactly when to drop that totem, too. I've seen some power plays.
Oh my goodness, yes. And there was one game yesterday with a Rhaegar that kept putting the lightning shield on Illidan. The
Oh, yeah.
damage output was mind-blowing.
Insane. Yeah, and if you threw a Morales on top of that, too, just going for miles, going for days.
Can't stop.
Don't stop till you get enough, I don't think. It's just keep on rolling. Cool. Well, Kristen, those are her heroics, but you had a wonderful idea, and we're going to implement something into the show now. At the end of the build, we're going to talk about what we think a specialty skin would be for the character that we just forged. This is where we're going to go crazy, sometimes be super fun. You know, there are some crazy ones in Heroes of the Storm now. Space Lord Leoric, you know, the Lumberjack Uther.
Bikini stitches.
Bikini
Yes,
stitches.
please.
So I think we have all artistic freedom here to come up with something
Yes,
crazy.
yep, as long as the silhouette remains the same.
Yes. So you can see who it is out there on the field. So my idea for my warrior build for Phoenix's specialty skin would be William Wallace from Braveheart.
I love it.
The Scottish soldier, and he would have a specialty. He would have specialty moves. So his side blade would be replaced with, you know, his giant William Wallace sword.
Yes.
And he would have, when he dies, because, you know, he needs to be resurrected, you know, or his dragoon would come down. A bagpipe would play to let the team know that he's died.
Now, would we all have to stand, like the map, everyone would stand there and we'd all salute him?
Yes, we'd all salute, and it would be a silent moment. All of the game sound would go out, and the bagpipe would just play. And then I thought this quote from Braveheart was so good for Phoenix that I put it in my notes, and the quote is this: "All men die, but not all men truly live." I thought that was great for Phoenix because it's talking about all that. So that's how I came up with William Wallace out of left field.
That's a great written. No, I'm sure he would have the face paint, and the plaid would change colors.
Yeah, you could augment the skin color, the plaid, the kilt.
Would he have a special mount?
Oh yeah, he'd probably have a special mount. It'd be it'd be something off the Marshall's Outrider, but like with a kilt, like its own little kilt. But I'm just thinking now, what the heck would his dragoon be? William Wallace's dragoon. What? Maybe that doesn't work.
It could be made out of wood. It could look like it's
like a battering ram or something.
Exactly. Yeah. It's cobbled together. It's from what? When did William Wallace live?
Oh
century?
Gosh, you're putting me on the spot. I'm not sure about
13th century, I want to say, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah, somewhere around there. I mean, it was that medieval kind of feel to it. So a battering ram would be something.
Exactly, and it's got big old screws in it that you can see.
Yeah, or like a trebuchet or something. Yeah. Not all men truly live is the truth. So, Kristen, what were you thinking for your specialty skill?
Well, I was thinking, this one I got so excited about because I imagine the way the dragoon would move, the way Fenix would move in this game would be a lot faster. He would be kind of like a skittering spider.
Okay.
So I was thinking Doc Ock for Fenix because Doc Ock moves around on the four limbs. And so he would move on those robo arms, and those would gallop him in mount form. And he would also wear a visor to resemble those glasses Doc Ock wears. And potentially you could put a bad haircut on him. Potentially. But I don't know if that really gets into copyright issues there.
Oh, you'd have to change the name, and it would be something really silly, I'm sure. And it would be so great. Doc Ock
Squidman Phoenix or something.
Yeah. That is so good. I love that idea. And it'd be cool because you could animate it in the way that it would still look like the dragoon silhouette.
Exactly.
Like he's floating along with these arms that are moving him, like in that, Spider-Man-esque Doc Ock kind of way.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's so cool. So, William Wallace and Doc Ock Phoenix must
fighting
be at
together in battle.
Fighting
Match
against
made
each
in
other.
Heaven. Oh, well, fighting. Yeah, that's true. I guess they would fight against one another.
So good. So good. Well, I think we can definitely say that this hero was forged.
Hero Forged.
Oh man, just to review some of this stuff, we got two builds again. We got a warrior and an assassin build over on Kristen's side, and we're talking, whole different characters, different silhouettes and everything with the dragoon and also the humanoid form over on the warrior. We've got really cool ideas about, being able to impale enemy heroes and some CC ideas, some great heroic abilities, and this time, I think we stuck pretty much to the book on about what would be practical for the game, don't you think?
I think so. I think we tried to stay as true to the Phoenix legend as possible, and then of course with the heroics and skins, then having a bit more fun.
Yeah, and the Phoenix legend is a one that is not easily lived up to.
No,
and I think both of these builds are pretty awesome. So cool. That was Fenix from StarCraft. If you're just coming in right now, make sure you catch the VOD. We post all of our videos on our website, which is HeroesForge.club. Over there you can also check out the notes for the show, where you can see everything that Kristen and I typed out for all of our builds. You can also leave us a comment and give us a like on YouTube if you have some ideas for heroes that you'd like to see forged, or different ideas that you have for Fenix. We love to hear everything that you guys have to say. And you can catch us on YouTube at youtube.com/HeroesForge. Also, we have a Twitter account. It is @ForgeHeroes. And over at @ForgeHeroes, you can catch the weekly update where we give a little sneak peek in the hero that we'll be forging on Sunday nights. And of course, on Sunday nights, we stream the show live on twitch.tv/HeroesForge, where you can catch out the live video and jump into the chat room and let us know your thoughts on what we're talking about as we're talking about it. Also, you can find the show on iTunes. Just type in Heroes Forge, all one word, in the search field, and it'll pop up there. And speaking of iTunes, if you love the show, giving us a 5-star rating on iTunes really helps make the show grow. We were actually recently featured, Kristen, I forgot to tell you this, we're on the new and noteworthy section of the gaming podcast on iTunes, and that's because of our listeners, because we do have some 5-star reviews over there. So if you haven't yet, please head over there, because it helps us a lot and it helps grow our community-driven podcast, which is exactly what we want it to be. Also, if you'd like to help support the show, you can visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/HeroesForge. Again, over there we have some awesome goals where we get to start making new episodes, battleground forging, whole bunch of community-driven things over there when we get the support. So visit that page if you'd like to support it. And Kristen, where can people find you in the interwebs?
In the interwebs, I am at Dream Destroyer, DRMDESTRYR, over at Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and also my blog, rippedforblizzcon.weebly.com. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Ripped for BlizzCon. William Wallace probably reads Ripped for BlizzCon.
Whipped for BlizzCon.
Whipped.
I love
Maybe
it.
whipped.
That's a different website entirely. That's not mine.
If you're listening to the show, do not go to Whipped for BlizzCon. Please, save your emails. And if you'd like to send us an email with an idea for a hero that you'd like to see forged, shoot it on over to contactheroesforge@gmail.com. We have a special segment once a month where we do a Forger Spotlight, where we take an idea that was submitted by you, the listeners, and we go ahead and build our own build off of that. So we want your ideas. Send them into contactheroesforge@gmail.com. We've got some on the back burner, but keep them coming, because we got some great episodes ahead of us. So Kristen, I think we're gonna catch the end of the Heroes of the Storm spring finals.
Yes, 1,000 times yes.
1,000 times yes. Well, 1,000 times yes, and thank you, Kristen, for joining us again, and thank you all of your listeners for listening in, and we'll see you in the real world.